Most people think cancer is mostly genetic, something written into your DNA long before you're born. The truth, genetics only explain about 5 to 10% of cancer cases. The rest, 90 to 95%, are linked to lifestyle, environment, and long-term exposure to certain risks. Based on decades of global research from organizations like the World Cancer Research Fund and the American Institute for Cancer Research, about 40% of all cancers could be prevented through specific habits we'll cover today. Here, we're exploring what research consistently shows helps reduce cancer risk across large groups of people. Today's habits are impact ranked, meaning the ones with the biggest overall influence come first. Let's start from the top. Habit 1. Avoid tobacco and protect your skin from UV. We're combining these because they're the two leading causes of preventable cancer worldwide. Tobacco. Research is absolutely clear. Tobacco is responsible for about 1 in every 5 cancer deaths. Not just lung cancer, but 18+ types, including bladder, pancreas, mouth, throat, and kidney. Secondhand smoke also increases risk even years after exposure. UV exposure, the sun and tanning beds, is the main cause of melanoma, one of the most dangerous skin cancers and the most common cancer in young adults. UV damage is like rust forming on metal. Slow, cumulative, invisible at first, but definitely real. Large cohort studies show that avoiding tobacco is the single most effective cancer prevention behavior we know of. Consistent sunscreen and shade use reduce melanoma risk in multiple population studies. Avoiding tobacco and protecting your skin from UV are the two biggest levers we have for reducing preventable cancer risk across populations. Habit 2. Maintain a healthy amount of body fat. This one requires sensitivity, but ignoring it wouldn't be honest. Excess body fat is linked to at least 13 types of cancer, including breast, postmenopausal breast, colorectal, liver, and pancreatic. This is not about appearance or ideal weight. It's about biological mechanisms. Why body fat matters? Mechanisms. Human evidence shows that excess adipose tissue can increase estrogen levels, raise insulin and related growth factors, and promote chronic inflammation. All three create cellular environments where cancer is more likely to develop. This is about the biology, not body image. Population studies consistently show lower cancer rates in groups with lower visceral fat and less long-term inflammation. Habit 3. Stay physically active. Physical activity is one of the strongest cancer protective behaviors we know of. Recent large-scale cohort studies, including a 2025 analysis from NIH, show that even hitting 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day is associated with noticeably lower cancer mortality. How movement helps? Regular activity helps regulate hormones, reduce inflammation, improve immune function, and lower insulin levels. We're talking about any movement: walking, light exercise, household activity. You don't need intense workouts to see benefits, just consistent movement. Across populations, people who move more have lower rates of several major cancers, especially breast and colorectal. Habit 5. Limit alcohol. This topic can feel uncomfortable because alcohol is so embedded in culture, but the research is consistent. For cancer risk, there is no known safe amount of alcohol. Any alcohol, whether it's wine, beer, or spirits, increases risk in a dose-dependent way, meaning the more someone drinks, the higher the risk. Cancers most linked to alcohol: breast, colorectal, liver, esophageal. The mechanisms include DNA damage, changes in estrogen levels, and acetaldehyde formation. Population-level evidence shows that reducing alcohol intake lowers cancer risk. The less alcohol consumed across a population, the lower the cancer burden tends to be. Habit 5. Limit red and processed meat. Expert groups classify processed meat, like bacon, sausages, and deli meats, as carcinogenic to humans. Red meat is classified as probably carcinogenic, mainly linked to colorectal cancer. Large epidemiological studies show that processed meat increases colorectal cancer risk. Red meat shows a dose-response relationship. Higher intake, higher risk. This doesn't mean these foods are poison. It just means that high, frequent consumption has been consistently linked to higher cancer risk in population studies. Keeping red and processed meat intake on the lower end aligns with the best available evidence for cancer prevention at the population level. Habit 6. Build a plant-forward diet. Plant-rich diets consistently show protective associations in human studies. Why? fiber, antioxidants, phytonutrients, and a lower calorie density. Fiber. Think of dietary fiber as a gentle broom moving things along the digestive tract, supporting gut health and reducing exposure time to potential carcinogens. Higher intake of whole plant foods is strongly associated with lower colorectal cancer risk, better weight management, lower inflammation. You don't need to be vegan, just shift the ratio toward plants. Populations that eat more vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and legumes tend to have lower cancer rates, especially colorectal. Habit 7. Limit ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods, the packaged, hyper-palatable, refined products, aren't usually harmful because of one ingredient, but because they collectively add calories easily, reduce nutrient density, influence weight gain, and affect metabolic health. Multiple studies show an association between high ultra-processed food consumption and higher cancer risk, especially colorectal. Patterns of eating that prioritize whole foods over highly processed ones tend to align with lower long-term cancer risk. Habit 8. Limit sugar-sweetened beverages. Sugary drinks don't directly cause cancer, but they contribute to excess body fat, which is a known risk factor. They create fast spikes in glucose and insulin, which over time can impact metabolic health. Population studies link high sugar-sweetened beverage intake with higher risks of obesity-related cancers. Habit 9. Avoid using supplements for cancer prevention. This surprises many people, but major cancer research organizations do not recommend using dietary supplements to prevent cancer. Why? The synergy of whole foods can't be replicated in isolated pills. One well-known example is the beta-carotene trials. Smokers taking high-dose beta-carotene supplements had increased lung cancer rates. This doesn't mean supplements are bad. There are medical reasons why doctors prescribe them: deficiencies, pregnancy, certain diseases, but relying on supplements for cancer prevention isn't supported by strong human evidence. Whole foods consistently show protective associations. Isolated supplements generally do not. Habit 10. Breastfeeding. For those who can and choose to breastfeed, research shows it provides health benefits for both mother and child. For mothers, breastfeeding is associated with lower breast cancer risk, lower ovarian cancer risk, likely due to hormonal changes during lactation, and reduced lifetime exposure to estrogen. When you look at all 10 habits together, you start to see a pattern. Most cancer-reducing behaviors revolve around lower inflammation, balanced hormones, and reduced cumulative damage to cells over time. They're not about perfection. They're about stacking small, consistent patterns over years. Small steps become automatic when your environment supports them. The research isn't here to scare you, it's here to empower you. Because when nearly 40% of cancers are preventable at the population level, that means our everyday choices actually matter. Not in a perfectionist way, not in a fear-based way, but in a practical, evidence-grounded way. This video is educational, not medical advice. For personal guidance, always work with your healthcare team. If you found this helpful, share it, because awareness is a form of prevention.